Let's welcome on board our very first guest. It is Deepak Mullick. He is the debutant author of the book SimplyMutual, the 1% formula to gain financial freedom. Well, 1% sounds like quite a small sum, I must say, that too to gain financial freedom. But if you want to delve a bit more, let's bring on board the author himself, Mr. Deepak Mullick. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now and on The Money Show. So let's start by talking about, firstly, what your book is, 1% formula to gain financial freedom. I'm going to ask you to, reveal a bit more of this formula, but largely first give us the larger context. What exactly is your book about?
Thank you, Mubina. It's a pleasure to be on your show. My book is about financial freedom. SimplyMutual, the 1% formula to gain your financial freedom. So it's about living a better life, stress-free for your financial stress, and making your money work for you. So I joined the financial services industry about 25 years back, and I saw that there was a very minuscule percentage of people who invested in equities. And even today, 25 years after, only 10% of our financial savings goes towards capital markets, and 90% of our wealth is saved into safe, fixed returns instruments that gives negative returns post-tax, post-inflation. So while the Sensex alone has in the 4 decades given returns upwards of 16%, 100 Sensex in 79 has become 520 times today, and that is a CAGR of 16% in 4 decades. And good mutual funds have delivered, upwards of 18-20% in the last 3 decades. And very few people have been able to participate in this wealth creation. I would say very few people have been able to participate in India's growth alone. So that is what the book is about, to create a better understanding of the equity markets, how stock markets work, and how you can make it work for yourself. The book is about some psychological barriers that that keeps us away from investing in mutual funds or equity markets, some common mistakes that people do. And the book is also about the fact that, I retired in my 40s. I could retire in my 40s. And so I've given the formula to retire early in my book. The 1% formula is about creation of a corpus for yourself and creating an income stream from that for the rest of your life. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so we get the brief idea, it's about early retirement. So which age group, Mr. Mullick, would these formulas most apply to? Which age group would gain the most by, your learnings that you've shared in this book?
I would say investing in equities requires, a time, and time not just to be in the market, the old age, but to understand, how markets work. So giving gyan over a book, is one thing, but actually going through the ups and downs of the market, going through the cycles of the market requires time. You should, see through a couple of cycles in the market when your money goes down. What are the psychological barriers that come in your way of making a good decision? So I would say people in their 20s and 30s are the ideal set to, follow the book. And but actually, anybody who wants to retire in the next 7 to 10 years, who has about 7 to 10 years to understand, the markets, how they work, how the 1% formula can work for them.
Okay. So all those aspiring to retire in their 40s and then travel the world or whatever it is, this book is meant for you for sure. And I think nowadays, Mr. Mullick, almost every millennial out there, almost everyone in that Gen Z category does aim to live that life to the fullest and does not want to work all the way till 65 and 70. Now, Mr. Mullick, it's not just about, of course, retirement and early retirement. We have some people enjoy working. Some people want to work for longer because the thought of just, retiring into nothingness can also be pretty daunting and scary to think of it. But Mr. Mullick, how do you then, you've spoken about many more goals and not just early retirement. Now, for someone who's, 20, has just started off their career, for someone who's 25, etc., they may not necessarily have any clear goals, at least at this point. For even somebody who's 30 for that matter. So how, do you sit down and frame goals in the first place?
Sure. So I would say the first thing to understand is, about money. Money is not really the end goal. Money is a means to your goals. And most people miss that because in the rut of, the rat race, people just sort of forget that, they are working towards some goals, some life goals, some financial goals. So the first thing is to understand that fact that you need to have goals, be it life goals or your money goals. So that's number one. The other thing is, you should, setting goals actually gives you purpose, gives you determination to, to follow those goals, to follow that journey up to that goal. And what I actually say in my book is it's not just about retirement. I understand not many people have the thought of retiring early and just doing nothing, but it's about getting financially free to pursue your passion. Not many people are able to pursue their passion, pursue what they dream of during their careers, and they wish to pursue other passion pursuits after a certain point of time. So it's good to have goals in mind, set them upfront. They could be short-term goals, they could be long-term goals. Short-term goals could be something like just buying a car in the next 5 years, buying a house in the next 10 years. So it gives you not just a sense of purpose, a sense of determination to achieve those goals. It also gives you good saving habits, good investment habits, a good discipline, which is quite essential for achieving those goals. Yes.
Okay, so goal setting, of course, is extremely important because at the end of the day, money is just a means to an end. The end essentially has to be goals. And, when you do have goals, it makes it easier as well for planning. So let's get to that then. Mr. Mullick, you've set your goals, that X, Y, Z is what you want to achieve over a certain span of time. Now, how do you get to achieving those goals? How do you keep, planning and spending in mind, keeping those goals in mind?
So first of all, I guess figure out all the stages of the goals. There could be short-term goals, like I mentioned. There could be, a 5-year goal. There could be a 2-year goal, a short-term goal, and then figure out from your salary, from your income, how much can you set aside towards those goals. And sometimes, you have to figure out, you have to change those goals. You realize that there are some goals that are not achievable, or there are some extra savings that you need to do, which you can't afford at that point of time. So the thing is not to stress about it, because the final goal is to be stress free. So from your monthly income, you should realize you should set aside a certain amount of money which you can set aside for an SIP, a mutual fund SIP. And we have SIP calculators on our website, many such calculators you can use and figure out, how much money you can save, how much number of years will convert into that goal.
All right. The title of your book is the 1% formula. Now, it seems like a really small amount, right? When people look at it, they'll be like, oh, that's all I need, just 1%. So I would request you to just give a little bit of a sneak peek of what, this 1% formula is.
Mubina, the 1% formula is a 3-step technique to make your money work for you. In the first step, you create wealth through mutual fund SIPs, 100 times your monthly requirement once you retire. And the second step is let that corpus breathe for a while, let it stabilize for a while. And the third step is just start withdrawing 1% every month. Now, sometimes, the numbers can be mind-boggling, But just to give you an example, just to create a corpus of 1 crore, I saw an advertisement in one of the large mutual fund companies yesterday, and it said that 10,000 rupees invested every month from the beginning of the scheme's inception created a corpus of 10 crores. So, I mean, I would say just 1,000 rupees for 27 years would have created a crore, and so that's what the 1% formula is about.
So how should viewers use this as a guide then to plan for their financials? Does it mean that the guide has to be what you earn rather than what you expect your expenses to be? Because this is also a hint that, look, you have to manage your expenses within your income. That's a very clear messaging as well, because very often people think that, okay, my expenses right now are this much, and then, it's going to be X plus a certain percentage later on, so I need to manage my investment. So basically, is that the wrong approach?
Let's say, your expenses that you foresee at the end of 10 years, and this could be an aspirational expense figure of 1 lakh per month. Now, what you have to do is save and create that corpus worth 1 crore. So, is that answering your question, Mubina?
I got what you're saying. We get the point, Mr. Mullick. So, this formula would also essentially keep in mind inflation as well, because that's become such a problem nowadays, right? I mean, you go to fuel up your car and you'll know exactly how much expenses have increased. But this is just a little bit of the 1% formula that Mr. Mullick has shared with us. Let's talk about, finally, the MF calculator. Like you said, that it's available in a wide variety of places. How can, investors use this MF calculator, especially those investors who are not exactly financially savvy? So how can they use calculators like these when they are sitting to plan their finances and deciding, okay, how much do I need to put in mutual funds, how much in maybe, fixed deposits, etc.?
Sure. So these calculators typically have, every month, and an indicative return that you can expect, I would say, put an conservative figure of, and the number of years that you can put out that SIP out. So, for example, a 20,000 rupees SIP at an indicative 12% returns in a mutual fund would convert into a crore in 15 years. If somebody can save 10,000 every month for 15 years, that would convert into a 50 lakhs.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Mullick, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now and just sharing some glimpses of your book. All the very best.
Thank you. Pleasure.